What if everything we've been told about Josslyn's disappearance is a lie? Guys, the more I look at what's happening in Port Charles, the more it feels like we're being pushed toward one conclusion while the real story is hiding somewhere else entirely. And if you ask me, the next shocking twist might not be about Josslyn at all. It might be about Valentine. Because right now, it seems like a dangerous storm is forming around him, and Carly may be standing directly in its path. At the moment, Carly and Valentine appear to be fighting for the same goal. Both of them want answers. Both of them want to uncover the truth. But what if they're already being manipulated without realizing it? That's the possibility I can't stop thinking about. After everything they've been through, their relationship seems stronger than ever on the surface. Yet beneath that fragile foundation, cracks may already be spreading. And those cracks could be exactly what someone wants. Because lately, there seems to be an unusual pattern emerging. Every clue appears to push Carly toward one belief. Every new piece of information seems carefully designed to make Valentine look suspicious. And honestly, that could be where the real game begins. What if Josslyn's disappearance was never the main objective? What if someone simply needed Carly and Valentine to turn against each other? The more I think about it, the more possible it becomes. Imagine Valentine starting to notice inconsistencies. Small details, tiny contradictions, pieces that don't fit. Nothing dramatic at first, just enough to trigger his instincts. Valentine has survived too many conspiracies not to recognize when something feels off. So perhaps he starts digging. Perhaps he starts investigating behind Carly's back. And what if that investigation leads him somewhere unexpected? What if he discovers evidence suggesting that certain messages connected to Josslyn were altered before Carly ever saw them? Now that's where things could get explosive. Because Carly may immediately see that as Valentine refusing to accept reality. She may believe he's simply trying to avoid difficult truths. Meanwhile, Valentine may become convinced that somebody is feeding them both a carefully constructed narrative. And suddenly, the trust between them starts to unravel. Not because they stopped loving each other, but because they no longer know who to trust. If you ask me, that's a far more dangerous threat than any prison cell. Then comes the possibility that changes everything. What if Josslyn was never kidnapped? I know that sounds impossible, but General Hospital loves pulling the rug out from under us when we least expect it. Suppose Josslyn is actually involved in a secret operation. Suppose she's willingly staying off the radar. Suppose even some of the people searching for her don't know the full truth. That would completely rewrite the story. It would mean the panic, the fear, the desperate search, all of it may have been serving another purpose. And that leads us to an even bigger mystery. Who benefits from keeping everyone focused on Josslyn? Because somebody clearly does. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Meanwhile, another bizarre possibility may begin taking shape across Port Charles. A series of incidents, a string of crimes, suspicious activities happening one after another, and somehow every trail points directly toward Valentine. Security footage, witness statements, physical evidence. Everything appears to be screaming the same name. Valentine. Yet something doesn't add up. Because what if Valentine can prove he wasn't there? What if multiple incidents occur while he has solid alibis? Guys, that's when things get truly scary. Because it could mean somebody is impersonating him. Not figuratively, literally. And if that sounds outrageous, remember whose world we're dealing with. The Cassadines have never exactly played by ordinary rules. What if a forgotten project from Helena's past is suddenly resurfacing? What if there was a secret operation involving identity replication? Advanced disguises, replacement subjects, people trained to become somebody else? I know it sounds wild. But in Port Charles, wild ideas have a funny habit of becoming reality. And if such a project existed, then Valentine might not be the only target. That possibility opens an entirely new door. One that could pull several major players into the storyline. Because if somebody can become Valentine, who else could they become? Jason? Anna? Sunny? The implications are enormous. At the center of all this may be Brennan. At first glance, Brennan seems determined to find answers. He appears focused, committed, protective, but there may be another side to the story. Not necessarily because Brennan is guilty, but because Brennan may know far more than he's willing to admit. Maybe he's protecting classified information. Maybe he's covering for someone. Maybe he's trying to stop a disaster before it happens. Or maybe he's become a target himself. And honestly, that possibility feels increasingly likely. Because if Brennan gets too close to the truth, whoever is pulling the strings would need to silence him. Fast. Imagine Brennan finally uncovering a critical piece of evidence. Imagine him identifying the mastermind. Imagine him preparing to expose everything. Then suddenly, he's attacked. Before he can reveal the name. Before he can explain the plan. Before he can warn anyone. That would instantly transform the mystery. And perhaps his final unfinished warning becomes the clue that changes everything. The kind of clue nobody understands until it's too late. But here's the twist that really fascinates me. Charlotte. Out of everyone involved, Charlotte may end up holding the key to the entire puzzle. Not intentionally. Not knowingly. But accidentally, which somehow makes it even better. Suppose Charlotte discovers an old recording. A forgotten video she captured years ago. Something she never thought was important. Something she barely remembers filming. Then one day she watches it. And what she sees changes everything. A secret meeting. A familiar face. A person who should not have been there. A person who perhaps shouldn't even be alive. Suddenly the past collides with the present. And secrets buried for years begin clawing their way back to the surface. The truth may be closer than anyone realizes. Yet it may also be more dangerous. Because once Charlotte reveals what she found, every major player could become vulnerable. Valentine, Carly, Josslyn, Brennan, everyone. And here's where I think the emotional heart of the story may emerge. Not from the mystery, not from the conspiracy, but from Carly herself. Because eventually she may face an impossible choice. Trust the evidence or trust Valentine. Those two things may no longer point in the same direction. The evidence could suggest Valentine is guilty. The facts could appear overwhelming. The accusations may keep piling up, yet her heart may tell her something completely different. And that conflict could destroy everything they've built. Or it could make them stronger than ever. It all depends on what Carly chooses to believe. And perhaps that's exactly what the mastermind wants. To force her into making the wrong choice. To isolate Valentine, to break their bond. To leave them vulnerable before the final phase of a much larger plan begins. Because if Josslyn's disappearance was only a distraction, if Valentine is being framed, if Charlotte possesses the missing clue, then the real threat may still be hiding in the shadows. Waiting. Watching. Preparing for the perfect moment to strike. And the biggest question of all remains unanswered. If someone has spent months manipulating every move, every clue, and every relationship in Port Charles, who are they really targeting? Valentine? Carly? Or is there someone else whose downfall has been the objective from the very beginning?
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.